aliens are actually future humans? This concept has been thrown around since as early as the 1940s. And today, friends, we're going to have a listen to this guy. This guy's awesome, man. He's Dr. Michael Masters. He's an anthropologist, basically studying human societies and cultures. And basically, he's got a book. He's got a couple of books out. He has like a lot of evidence that Mr. Alien is actually just us from the future. And why? Something from the universe has drawn me to this. Why? Because I first heard about this when I was diving into the alien stuff and Joe Rogan and Bob Lazar and all of these. And just like from time to time, you absorb it. And then when I came across the concept of like they had different alternatives, like what could it be? Not because no one really knows, right? And they just give you like, hey, it could be like, interdimensional or outer space from Mars or all these other places. And then there's always like this one key point. It's like, could be humans from the future. And I remember I would ignore it like the first 4 times. And I'm like, nah, I don't buy it. Sounds really weird. And then I was listening to Richard Dolan, my uncle Dickie Dolan, and he shared this experience story where someone was abducted and, well, they went to obviously some other time or place, obviously some sort of ship. They talked to Mr. Aliens, and then they have this moment where they ask, who are you? And Mr. Alien says, we're you from the future, but we can't explain it to you because you're not going to get it. Don't worry. Bye-bye. And that was basically the last thing they said when they left. Now, I remember hearing it, and I'm like, there's probably some psyops. That makes no sense, right? Us from the future. That makes no sense. But after seeing a lot of stuff out here being put out, I think it is us from the future. And if you're into this UFO stuff, friends, it's kind of like it makes sense because we can't understand it. Like we're just monkeys in this little zoo, and we can't conceptualize this. What the hell does this mean? Because it's kind of funny, friends. All the Neil deGrasse Tysons, they pretend they know everything. They don't know shit, dude. They don't know anything. Like, we don't even know what time is. We live in time. So if you go, friends, to a fish, and they live inside the bowl, just a fish bowl, you can't explain to the fish, where are you? All it knows is the fish bowl. It's like, okay, you're in a fish bowl, which is inside a room, which is on a planet, which is rotating around the sun. You understand? Like, they can't conceptualize it. It's like their life is the fish bowl. So it's the same thing with us. You and I are bound by time. We can't actually manipulate stuff. Kind of interesting. All the abduction stories, there's always missing time. So someone's gone here for like 5 days. They come back. It's actually a story in with this podcast as well. There was, I think it was an admiral's son or a military dude's son. He was on the computer and he disappeared. And he was gone for 5 days. But in his mind, it was only gone for like 15 minutes. And when he came back, this is the crazy part, he had a flower, a little wilted flower here. It wasn't wilted. Actually, the flower was normal. It really was. He'd only been gone for like 15 minutes. Okay, but he was actually missing for 5 days. So when they saw him again, they asked, how the hell is the flower still fresh? Okay, so we're gonna just explore a bit of this. It really does get a bit cool. Have a listen.
Because I think there's a lot of layers to that we can peel back on this proverbial onion. So yeah, in looking at theories about this, there's this theory, I don't claim ownership of it. This time-traveling future human theory has been around as early as the 1940s, as far as I can tell. And early in my second book, I tried to acknowledge everyone I could find through a massive literature review who has talked about this in some capacity. There's also the interdimensional idea, which has been batted around too. Batted around by Jacques Vallée and John Keel with the ultra-terrestrial model. Like, there's some overlap innately because we're talking about something that exists sort of outside of time, space, time. Right. not just extraterrestrial. So a lot of these theories, even the crypto-terrestrial model, is about an advanced civilization sequestering itself in or around Earth, far side of the moon, under water, wherever, but their origins are still up for grabs. And in this paper we just published in June about scientific openness to this crypto-terrestrial idea, we list possible origin points of them. They could be from outer space with more advanced technology, coming here, building a base on the far side of the moon. They could be from time. They could be future humans that don't want to just constantly go back and forth through time, that set up in our time, especially if they're harvesting gametes, sperm and egg. It's easier to do that if you just have a ship that's built here that doesn't have to be a time machine. And I think this giant triangular craft that's seen on occasion and was part of the Phoenix Lights, perhaps, I refer to it as a floating fertility facility in my second book, because seemingly this is where a lot of that was happening on a mass scale. I was bringing in males and females and taking sperm and egg as this gamete harvesting process. So
yeah, is it not this is look, all these, the UFO drones, New Jersey stuff, it's very likely it's them sending like a message like, hey, we exist, kind of guiding you, don't flip out, we'll be back in another time. It's kind of that. It's kind of like, yeah, once again, you and I were just monkeys in a zoo eating bananas. The zookeeper walks by, shines a torchlight. Hey, don't worry, I got yous, and then just walks by. That's it. Just to remind you that it's still there. And it's just baffling my mind, friends. Like, how far has society come? In the 1990s, people were actually getting abducted. Do you ever watch South Park? Friends, I was a kid. I was so not interested in the alien episodes on South Park. I was like, I didn't understand what the hell was going on. There's all these butt probe stuff. So he's basically Cartman getting butt probed. Yeah, so I think this is from the game as well. He's Randy. Yeah, so I thought they were making like a joke. Like, oh, aliens, weird thing. I'm just a young kid. I don't understand what the hell was going on. Now, as I've gotten older, I'm like, oh, there's like thousands of stories of this. People literally got abducted, taken onto a ship. They literally got pegged by a probe, and they went and collected sperm. And this actually goes back further than that, friends. About 100 years ago, I think it was in South America. I think it was an Argentinian or Venezuelan farmer. He was out in the fields. A ship comes, zips him up. He goes inside the ship. He's in a room. He can see like this thing in the corner. Could be a camera of some sorts. He says, this lady comes in. He has sex with her, alien, okay? And then when he's done, these like two little alien things come out in like these little suits. And they like shine a light at him. I think something like that happened. And then he's back on the field. And he took this story to his grave. He told his kids, his grandkids. He's basically, yeah, this is it's like a famous story. Where he shows us, he's like, look, I was literally on this field, and this is like 1920s, 1940s, 1950s. Like, how is a random Venezuelan farmer thinking about, oh, these aliens going to come up, I'm actually going to breed with them? That's why you're just hearing these stories over time. So you collect one, you're like, well, that's a bit, you know what I mean? Who am I going to talk about that with? That's a bit like left field. Could have been made up. But we've come so far, it's just like now they're speaking about, oh yeah, if they're us from the future and they're trying to collect our sperm for this hybrid stuff, I guess it makes sense that they don't keep shifting time, where they just have a mothership somewhere, either under the sea or somewhere, where they basically put light bends around it, and they're basically just studying us. For whatever reason, studying us, using, we don't know. We don't understand, okay? Maybe someone out there knows. We don't know. We don't know. But it's kind of funny, like, oh yeah, they're just collecting sperm. But this was like 20, 30 years ago. Like, everyone's like, you've lost your freaking mind. Now it's like, oh yeah, they're here, and they're kind of just, don't worry, they're just doing like science experiments or something. It's so baffling how far we've come. But again, that doesn't necessarily, just saying crypto-terrestrial, that doesn't answer the question. It doesn't say where they're from or when they're from. Same with the interdimensional idea. What this extraterrestrial model is, to answer your question specifically, is a model about future humans coming back in their own timeline, in the block universe specifically.
So they're coming back
in the block universe.
In the block universe. And that's an important distinction. It has elements of interdimensional, has elements of the multiverse, like you were saying.
Yes.
And in that situation, you're right. They could be jumping across timelines. This timeline happens to be just a little less evolved as far as the rate of evolution as it happens in these different timelines. So therefore, they would be from the future of people in this timeline and likely have other aspects of their existence just because of the differences in that universe that they come from. But with regard to this block universe, it is one of few things, or at least I guess I should say one of few things that physicists agree on is that we don't know what time is. Like how
So, as you get to see, right, I didn't even know that. Oh, we didn't even really know what time is. We're the fish in the fishbowl. What do we mean? We don't know what time is. Well, we have interpretations of it. Remember, friends, I've shown you in some of my UFO videos, at the end of Interstellar, the movie ending at the very, very end was Murph! He's controlling time. He's in like this the tetrahedron or whatever it's called. And basically every time event is just like a string. You know, like a violin string. And it's trying to like move through time, but we can't conceptualize it because like, oh, we're just silly monkeys. We really don't know what the hell that means because we're bound by one timeline. We can't see everything. Okay, we can't. It's almost like if you're a video game character, you can't conceptualize. Like if you're a little GTA character in Grand Theft Auto, you can't conceptualize another video game. But you and me, you can see like, oh, you have a bookshelf of PlayStation games. Like, oh, I can play Final Fantasy, I can play Grand Theft Auto, I can play Gran Turismo, go play racing. You understand? You have like all these games. Yeah, well, maybe that's what it's like out there. Out there. What does out there mean? I guess it's outside of our dimension. That's why we'll never really have this. Obviously, we'll know the answer right now. Could be thousands of years. Our brains just can't compute it. Now, Dr. Masters, he's going to explain, there's a lot of evidence, friends, that if you roll forward our DNA right now, our nose is getting like inside, our brain's getting bigger, getting more, and actually our vision's getting more mushed. Okay, it's kind of funny how it literally is. You roll this forward, we start to look like Mr. Alien dude. Okay, if you just completely roll it forward. So I'm going to let him do the talking because it's fascinating.
Other people are like, well, this must be demons. It must be demonic, like my dad. He's like, well, this is a thing, but he probably only believes it because he saw it. This is a thing.
So just quickly, yeah, so with the aliens, friends, in the Bible and all these other places where we have these stories, humans, we throw our own elements on there. Like, is it angels? Is it demons? Is it elves? Is it, everyone's got their own word for it, but it's something like us from the future, entities from the future. We can't compute it. There's a lot of these things going on here. So yeah, let's continue.
But it's this. It's this thing that I already understand, so I can put it in this smaller box within the bigger box. So he does bring the box in, but I think it's going to come to the point where the two boxes are one. Where this UFO phenomenon, kind of your original question, I guess, was how did they fit together? For me, I think we're all going to be at that point where the UFO phenomenon, and historically and prehistorically, and then our belief systems are going to merge into one thing. And that was kind of what I was trying to do with this last book, is show how those are likely to come together.
Yeah. Now, maybe it would be helpful just for everyone out there to follow along, to break down, like you've obviously gone through some of it today, but to break down once and for all the extraterrestrial model and what exactly it means and how the time travel could work, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. That's always a great place to start because, like I was listening to this book about the Akashic Record recently, and it was like the third chapter where she finally defined what she meant by the Akashic Record. I'm like, that really would have helped in chapter 1 because I had no idea what the hell you're talking about. That's a great place to start. So the idea, as we sort of touched on previously, is just that we have had a long evolutionary history on this planet. We've evolved culturally, we've evolved physiologically, and if those same dominant trends continue into the future, we're likely to look like, morphologically, and we're likely to have technology similar to what we see in these beings that are showing up now throughout recent history, throughout the prehistoric past, arguably. So what I mostly focused on and what my PhD research was in is craniofacial evolutionary anatomy.
Craniofacial evolutionary anatomy.
Yeah, so I mentioned these dominant trends. The most dominant ones are an increase in brain size, what we call encephalization, but also a change in the shape of the brain. So it got about 3 times larger compared to a chimpanzee or our earliest hominin ancestors. The ones people are most familiar with are actually about halfway through the Australopithecines, like Lucy. But you can go back another 3 million years before that. But throughout most of that time, we're really just evolving our postcranial anatomy, neck down, standing upright. How are we adapting to this new form of locomotion? Bipedalism, the trait that actually defines the hominin lineage. But after about the time of the Australopithecines, beginning with Homo habilis, about 2.5 million years ago, then we see the brain start to increase in size. It moves out over the eyes, and it increases mediolaterally.
So yeah, in this next segment, right, he explains how there's this random part for humanoids, our brains just started getting bigger out of nowhere. I mean, Joe Rogan talks about it. Everyone knows about it. There's a key. Everyone's like, "Where's the missing link?" There is no missing link. So that's what a lot of people do speculate. At some point, that's what I guess Bob Lazar's his briefing from the Coconut Intelligence Agency or the Deep State, where they're like, well, they did some engineering pushes into us. It's very controversial, friends, because a lot of the Deep State government guys, the things you've heard of is some of them are like really, really, really conservative religious Christians. So they'll actually say these things are actually the devil. There's trickery. That's what we've heard, like the rumors, and obviously they'll stay faceless. So that's what it comes down to. And that's why they call it the ontological shock. It's like such a shock to everybody if they were able to learn this type of information. I don't know how this reconciles. Everybody's just like, oh, I believe. Like, what does it believe mean? Like this, obviously this thing's happening. Like, are you saying all these are fake? You understand? So no one knows where this rabbit hole ends. And it feels like either everyone's right or everyone's wrong. You know, that's what I'm leaning towards. Because you just have such a wide diverse of like religions, thoughts, spirituality, you know, like from poltergeist to DMT, the acid trips, all the abductions, and pretty much how it all kind of, okay, when we're using monkey brain terminology here, how it all kind of resolves itself is something else exists out there in the realm, and we are just the byproduct. Okay? So, I don't know. Is it Matrix movie style? Maybe not. It's a bit pessimistic and nihilistic. We're all just batteries of something. Okay? So, that's pretty much it. So, we don't even understand what really consciousness is. We're just like a side effect from something else, us existing. But kind of makes no sense. If you're a Neil deGrasse Tyson, like you think you're the be-all, you're the end-all, we're discovering this kind of universe thing. No, maybe we're a byproduct of something. And there's a lot of things that kind of hint. I mean, it's kind of funny. Every time we speak about this, some of you guys pop into my Telegram. You're like, oh yeah, Sammy, ancient Hindus been writing about this like 3,500 years ago. Or like, oh yeah, Tibet dude's been writing about this like 900 years ago. It's kind of funny. None of this is actually original. Like, it's been going on for like since the start. So it makes you think like, who gave them that idea? And how come different languages kind of figured it out? You know, so it's pretty much it all leads to a combined consciousness. It all leads to that. Like this whole we are one type of thing, but not in a kind of like hippie way. Like, yeah, let's hug the trees. We're all connected. Probably something else that we can't really comprehend. But also, friends, like, how many times have we seen a MindLink? I mean, like, look what happened here. Like, look, just read this from Mr. Crispy. I was listening to the latest Somi update video. I was literally opening my fridge just as he says, you are a tub of olives in the fridge stuffed with sun-dried tomatoes. And what was staring me right in the face? A tub of olives on a tub of sun-dried tomatoes. Rest assured, we're all going to make it, friends. So, I know, but then you're like, oh, is this nitpicking? You know, it's a common grocery item. I know, man, we wrestle with this stuff all the time. Yeah, one-time event, like, oh, yeah, one-time event. But then, like, wait a minute. This is a bit too spooky. Some of these things can't be random, okay? You know? So yeah, in the context of the video as well, friends, so remember he was mentioning about how you're rolling these over time. So you're just studying humans of the past, humanoids, and then how we grow. It's kind of funny. Do you know we're actually getting smaller? Which is funny because we think we're actually getting bigger and stronger. No, we're actually getting smaller. Like, they're finding like these old cavemen. The kids were like stocky. They're like big jaws and they're like meaty. We're getting like more fragile. the soy. But that's happening. But it makes sense because all our energy function is just feeding the brain because it's really efficient. Because it's kind of funny, friends. This will hit you hard. You ever wonder why emojis are popular? Why emojis popular? Yeah, because it's just like a little picture says 1,000 words. It's like every fiber of our being is just trying to make things like more super efficient. You see, like closer connection, closer link. You move less. You do stuff. I mean, like even the computer. You know what I mean? Like think about like the mechanical things. You're just getting less and less, and eventually it just becomes telekinesis. Like you just roll this forward. It's just light messages being sent out. But obviously our brain's probably got to do more evolving to be able to like process this stuff. Because obviously, what's Elon Musk doing, friends? You know, Elon Musk, the muskrat, he's Neuralink. It's kind of funny, man. It's so weird, right? Before Elon Musk came around, when scientists said, "Oh yeah, we're gonna put a chip in your brain," everyone's like, "No." Elon Musk says, "Yeah, I'm gonna put a chip in your brain." Everyone's like, "Hey, that sounds cool." So they actually did put it. You see that? Oh my god, that's weird. Like they just drill a circle into your head. They put the thing up. Now, almost all the abduction cases, people get beamed images in their head because they're just sending light. They know how to send light through a medium, through air, to beam it into your head. They obviously know where to hit us in the brain to do it. But Elon, he puts a chip. They put a chip. They actually did it, friends, to the blind guy. Remember the blind guy? There was a guy, I think he was blind. No, he was quadriplegic. And now he can actually control stuff with his mind. He was playing chess with his mind because he's got the Neuralink and it's controlling stuff. So, man, that's just like, we're actually doing it. We're actually doing it. Like, this is nuts. Because you kind of think, yeah, it's about 100 years away. No. He's doing it right now. He's like, hey, let's start drilling holes into everyone's head. That's what they're doing. It's a chip to, the chip goes in and then starts sending the neurotransmitters in. Okay, but, roll this forward 1,000,000 years. We don't need a chip. We know exactly just how to send a light beam. Right? Let's have a listen to Dr. Michael Masters for the next segment. It gets really cool.
Them a lot, but we're also contributing to it. And yeah, it's crazy. Like it happens fast. When we go through a depression or a recession and people are cutting back on nutrient intake, I mean, that's affecting their children instantly. Whoa. And then those kids grow up and they're shorter. So there's diachronic change. There's also evolutionary change. But with regard to future humans, some are described as short grays, whether those are our descendants or avatars or sort of biological droids. It's hard to say because some don't have genitalia, kind of need genitalia to make more babies, unless some. So
it's this guy's friends. These guys, very, very, very common knowledge has come out like a lot of the government guys. Usually these aliens, obviously we don't know. There's midget ones. There's like, you understand? My mind was blown because wait a minute. There's like 50 races of these things. I thought that was just video game stuff. I just thought the video game creators were like, that's kind of bored. Let's make this like guy brown, like bug-eyed and stuff. No, it actually is out there. Now, apparently, these are androids. So they're androids. But it's kind of funny. Yes, there have been abduction cases. People went on the ship. They saw the little midget androids, little gray aliens. And then there was like the bigger ones, the commandos. They said the commandos, it's always looked a bit differently. Bigger heads, usually in some sort of robe. And yeah, they're like, kind of look like us sometimes, kind of don't. Some of them actually just straight out humans. This is where the obfuscation comes out because most of the sightings, people see other humans on these ships. But then, because you're sitting there and you're like, is that like a zookeeper? He just throws in like a little robot monkey just to like get the monkeys to chill out while he goes and does something, maybe fixes the fire extinguisher or something. That's what you're always thinking. Like, are these humans that they're showing, is it just like, because they know us. Obviously, they know what shocks us. It's kind of funny in many of the stories, many times, this is kind of funny. You hear this one time, you think, this is nothing. But when you hear it like 14 times, 14 different people, 14 different continents, right? 14 different places, different languages, the story's always like, well, they're on the ship and they're like, hey, can I see more? It's usually the person who got abducted, and the guy's like, nah, do not be afraid. We don't want to scare you. Like, because you always hear that. They always say like, don't be afraid, or we can't show you because you'd get scared. They actually say that, and I'm like, scared of what? Then like, I'm always thinking scared of what? Like giant manta alien. I'll just show you. this is where it gets, you think it's scary. Like, some of them have been described as a praying mantis, like a giant mantis, 7 feet tall. Yeah, there's actually one person. I forgot who it was. Yeah, they went on the ship, but they were communicating. This was the alien. It was literally a giant. It was like a 7 feet tall mantis. I mean, you're hearing this, you're like, man, that's really. But then, I think they said they got the impression this was really, really old. They're like really old, like they were super ancient. I don't know what gave them the impression out here. But yeah, after I knew about that, well, look how weird they look up close and stuff. You know what I mean? We're like, ew, it's scary. Friends, imagine like they're not little bugs, like they're actually like out tall, but they don't eat you anything because like they've evolved. You know, like so that's funny. We're on the monkey planet. Yeah, maybe there's planets out there, another dimension somewhere. Maybe they're on a bug planet. It's where like the lizards evolved. You know, so you start opening your brain to these types of things. You can see, I kind of see how these happens. But then you obviously the people who are like go to Mr. Government in the suit and tie. No, Mr. Government, that could not possibly happen, right? You would tell us, right? And Mr. Government's like, yeah. So you're not going to get the answers from the government out here. You know something's going on here. Like, do you know they've done a study now? Do you want to know how many abductions they've like written about? How many abductions? What do you reckon? 100? 200? 5,000. 5,000. It was about 3,500 in the 90s. Now they've actually got 5,000. And guess what? These are the people who are like mavericks like you and me. They're not afraid to talk about it. They're like, so, by the way, every time I go to the comment section, it was like, there's always comments of people like, someone says, yeah, this weird thing happened to my dad. He only told me once. He said, don't talk about it to your mother. And he goes, but anyway, like 30 years ago, I was driving. We got zapped, or my great-grandfather, like almost everyone's got some sort of story that they know, but it was just like so taboo to talk about back then. But you can't don't blame them, you know what I mean? Like, but we're the new blood friends. Like, we don't give a shit. You understand? They printed a lot of money. We already saw Bitcoin go to $100,000. Our minds have already been blown. You know, we see like all this science stuff, because we come in and we're like, oh, science, because you have access to the internet. You're like, I've noticed a pattern. Humans kind of like change the laws of physics every like 10 years, and you're like wrong every time. So like we don't care. And like we're not foreign to this concept of a metaverse, because like when you're born now, the phone already exists. You already are in a metaverse. Okay, everything is digital. Your money's digital. How you talk to everybody's digital. They're learning these concepts of like everything's a game and everything's gamified. And I was like, oh yeah. If it's a game there, I wonder if we're like being gamified, right? But because you see kids being born now into this society, that their minds like are just totally in tune with it, for better or for worse, right? But I guess everyone back then, everyone's just walking around with lollipops and shotguns. They can't conceptualize of this, you know what I mean? So it's like 14-year-old kids in the coal mines. They can't possibly conceptualize that they're a fish inside a fishbowl, right? Let's continue with Dr. Michael Masters.
That's the case with these ones. The sort
Something's making you?
Yeah, the dickless ones are probably made by a future human who no longer is making robots. Like it ain't Elon Musk making something that needs oiled and breaks down mechanically all the time. But it's probably the extension of our gene engineering into the future, where you just create something that can do all of this stuff for you. Send them in first to get somebody. If you're abducting an individual and they're a big scary person, send them in first, and they're more expendable because there's something you created for this purpose. And if you look at Whitney Strieber's account, he sort of describes these.
Do you remember I made 2 videos on, you go look at my UFO playlist, somebody leaked on Reddit, one of the US laboratories that was studying the dead biologics. There's EBEs or whatever. It's exactly what they said. It's funny, he called them dickless. Yes, they have no genitals, friends. These ones have no genitals, and they poop through their skin. That's why they stink like poop. which makes sense. Like if you're designing an android, how do you excrete? You're like, well, I'm not going to give you a butthole. How about I just make you poop through your skin? It's kind of funny. It makes sense, though. It makes total sense. It's exactly what he describes. Everything's like lining up. You put it all together. But no one ever sat here. No one hears 18 hours a day just like, there are a few people out there in the world that's like piecing these together. not giving a shit what anyone thinks. Because these people, they got jobs and they don't want to be called like the crazy person out here, and they're scared of misspeaking. Oops, I got something wrong. Dude, we don't really care. In crypto, we can go to minus 99% every day I wake up. You think I give a damn about whether I misspeak, about whether an alien's got a doodle or not? You know, we live in a different reality to these people. That's why I think we're going to start to see these more ontological shocks as we roll forward. Let's go.
Small beings as the muscle behind the operation.
For people out there who haven't seen Danny Jones' podcast with Whitley, which was a great episode,
Yeah,
can you just explain, you've mentioned him a couple times, can you just explain who he is and what his experience was?
Yeah, phenomenal individual. Brief summary, he had a cabin in upstate New York, had some strange experiences with people at his house. So there were other witnesses, lights would come on. I thought his roof was on fire. And then we went to investigate, and light turns off. Not long after that, he had a shotgun by his bed, armed the whole house with an alarm system because he was freaked out. Like, he knew something was happening. And then when he was first taken, he sat up in bed and he sees this small creature, like what I was talking about, sort of the big head, small face, but wearing a kind of armor. And it runs toward him, and all of a sudden he's asleep. And then he ends up outside. He's interestingly sitting in a little beam of light. There's snow all around, but there's no snow where they're sitting. And it's cold, but it's not as cold as it would be, outside in this situation. But there he starts to see other types as well. He's always with the muscle of the operation, as he describes it. But as he ascends into the ship, he starts to encounter a woman, a female presence. And what's interesting is in these cases, even when these beings are seemingly so different from us, we can still sense kind of their soul or their personality. Something like a gender almost transcends the physical form to some extent. But he's in contact with this woman, and then he goes on to have a lot of other experiences, even had sex with her once, that he writes about in a different book that he co-authored with Jeffrey Kripal called The Supernatural, I think it is. Mm-hmm. But importantly, he sees different forms, 4 different types on the ship. And that's a really common thing across various experiencer accounts, is that there are different forms oftentimes working together, sometimes even with people, just normal everyday people in military garb, like Air Force uniforms, basically.
So he's seeing things that range from literally human looking to grays to...
It's this guy, friends, by the way. That's what they're talking about. I'm pretty sure they're talking about Whitney Strieber. Man, I feel so sorry for this guy, by the way.
Jimmy.
So it's him on the left, Whitney Strieber. He's actually got a channel, friends, here. If you type in Whitney Strieber, I listen to a lot. So he's actually awesome. Okay. Now, why do I feel sorry for him? Because he got molested by aliens, but I think it was in the 80s, or I think it was in the 90s. Society wasn't ready. Okay. So he actually got molested, sexually molested. But he calls it sexually molested. But when they made the first videos of him, when he was telling his story, they put him in a dark room on TV, and they're like, this man claimed he got raped by aliens, and it was always like, wee-woo, wee-woo. It was the crazy stuff. So he copped a lot of backlash from society, and you can just tell. Look at this guy; he looks like he's just a sweet man. He was very, very in love with his wife. Rest her soul, she's passed away. So he's really, really informative. He knows a lot. He actually does communicate with them a lot. Now here's the thing: you first come across it, you're like, you're telling me Grandpa is talking to the aliens? Look, man, his stories, they've been so consistent for the past 25 years, and there's stuff that comes out today that they match. It all syncs up, you know what I mean? So, poor guy, you just imagine you're the first dude, a couple of aliens rubbed you out to collect your spermanization, whatever, and then he's got to go tell society out here. Friends, it was literally... South Park was making the anal probe videos back in the 1990s. You have this juxtaposition. He's trying to tell everybody, oh yeah, because that's when they took him on board the ship. We'll explain the story more. We've got nuclear weapons to worry about. Don't heat up the planet, and everything's gonna be all right. And then you have literally South Park, and everyone just wow, this guy says he got molested by aliens. So yeah, he was the one who wrote this book. Okay, The Communion. So I'm not sure if it's him, but you get to see all these characters that come out. You listen to one, it's hard. It's hard. Listen to one, but you go through all of them, you're like, come on, man. Come on, something's going on. So let's dive deeper.
mantids or stuff like that?
I don't know if he ever described anything like that. Some of them he described as looking oriental, that they had eyes, face, everything just like ours. But essentially, I think he said they were slanted. So they looked like ours, but a little bit more oriental, or what we'd say East Asian looking. And then, yeah, the woman, the taller woman, to get back to height, she was taller, had gray alien type characteristics, but was in charge of the operation. She had a higher consciousness, telepathy. But then there were these ones that he called the muscle of the operation too, that were, I've come to think, possibly manufactured. And this is, obviously we can't know until we have them, and maybe we do have them, and maybe that's a part of these crash retrievals, that we could go look at them and study them and see if there is a difference between ones that are reproducing themselves and ones that are created in the image of those in our future, if they are future humans, who are making them to perform various tasks. And I would love to do that.
Yeah. Let's put a pin in that, because I do want to come to UFO crash retrievals later, but I want to stay with some of the experiencer stuff. So you had said, I think it was in your extraterrestrial book, you had said something in the range of like 90% or something like that of people who report being abducted claim it was a positive experience.
Yeah, I mean, there's some qualifiers to that.
How so?
Well, first off, what you're referencing is the Dr. Edgar Mitchell-Free study. It's a survey of experiencers. So. Yeah. At the time they published that in 2019, they had 3,500 individuals. And I always try to acknowledge problems with methodologies, and there are issues with surveys. People can lie, they can just... But I try to stay away from speculating about those things and just focus on dominant trends that we can understand. But in the study, the top reported type was human. And then after that was the short grays that we were discussing, tall grays, and then hybrids. And what I always point out,
hybrids again? I'm sorry.
Just a combination of the two forms. Okay. So like one example is Travis Walton, when he was taken.
I'm just going to show you some pictures, friends, of some alien. These are some depictions out here. People coming in there. There's artist depictions you see out here. That's what it looks like. Some of them in their suits. They don't all look like this. This is just like one person's experience. And so this is them putting something in the nose. It kind of looks a bit scary. They're the hybrids, right? Got the hair out here. Kind of looks a bit scary. Got some breastfeeding here. I don't know what's going on here. Okay. This is, I'd like to be abducted, Mrs. Alien Lady. No, it gets a bit wild out here. And then you have out here, yeah. This is, I know, it's kind of funny fun, but this is actually what people saw. Yeah, it's kind of like funny. Like, think about it. I don't know if you even remember, friends. There was one of these court cases where they brought in a police officer to interrogate somebody, like one of the drug mules. But they got the police officer. He got in his underwear and he wore a cowboy hat and he slapped the guy. And they did that because they wanted to abuse, I think, the drug mule to get him to like basically torture him. So then when he told the judge, the judge would never believe him. Like, oh yeah, some half-naked officer walked out in his Speedos and a cowboy suit, pretty much butt naked, and slapped you. Yeah, no one's going to believe that. It's kind of funny. Maybe if they were aliens, what they do. They're like, hey, just put some naked aliens with boobies hanging out. No one would ever believe this guy's story. So that's why you kind of, sometimes you think, well, if these entities, if they're like 4,000 IQ like Vitalik, they can predict what you're going to think. It's kind of like us in the zoo. Like, hey, if we put a monkey with a banana, he's going to go for that banana. You see what I mean? Well, what if they know exactly which bananas we push? So these some of these depictions and stuff out here. Are these in these rooms? Some tall beings. Yeah, I know it kind of looks scary, but actually it's kind of funny when you see these. Some of these actually like trippy out. Man, that's wild. That looks just scary a bit. Here's the thing. When people are there, they're never scared because they're hypnotized. Okay? They're hypnotized. Oh, man, this is just absolutely like a horror movie, actually checking it out. Yeah, because I see we haven't evolved. We just see like little eyes. We want to see the whites. If you're curious as well, it's kind of funny how it works. When you're looking at someone's eyes, if you can see the whites, you feel safe, okay? Because you and I can see the whites on the eyes because you know where I'm looking. So it makes you feel safe. But when you can't see the eyes, it's just big and black like this. Like, hey, lady, you were meant to leave. Somebody call her an Uber. Does the Uber fly into the stratosphere? Yeah, so that's why we have an instant we get fear reaction. Also, why I guess if you're Mr. Manta, alien bug looking dude, they don't have any whites in the eyes. That's why, like, oh, you're gonna be pretty scared if you look at us. But yeah, always, see, it's kind of funny, all these depictions. That's why I look out here, but your brain's totally fried. Like, you always are calm. They're always calm because they know what to do. They're zappy friends. They know what to press the buttons. You see, it's see, we do that to animals. Hey, just throw some Molly in this tranquilizer and get this tiger down so we can take a picture. So yeah, he's going to speak briefly on Travis Walton's case now next. Travis Walton, one of the most famous cases, interviewed on Joe Rogan. Yeah, literally one of the most famous cases. Travis Walton, he's a ranger, lumberjack, disappeared for multiple days, went on the ship, literally missing for days. They were going to arrest his work friends because he was literally missing. They thought they killed him for murder. They were literally going to arrest him. And then just rocks up naked. The aliens just come and just planted him in the middle of nowhere. He went in, he's like, no, I'm not dead. They actually took me, and yeah, it's got kind of a most fascinating case.
Most likely an ambulance call because he was shocked by this craft. He wakes up in this bed with 2 short grays around him. Yeah. Didn't have a chance to check in their pants. It'd be really interesting to know if they had genitalia or not, because it might help answer this question: are they all droids if we see the short grays, or are they just creating them in their image like we do with robots now? But then he escaped. He went in the
So friends, this is actually Travis Walton. This is actually him. Fire in the Sky was the movie made for him. So yeah, he actually was on Joe Rogan. That was him, young him, out here. They actually went back to the exact place. I think that's it. Wow. Oh, look, check that out. That's cool. How about that? Look at this. Look, you're going to love this. You see the rings here? So what happened was he actually got blasted. Oh, wow. They went to the exact same place. That's where he got blasted. He went out here. That's him. So they saw a UFO ship. He don't know why. He just ran out. His friend stayed back. He saw the UFO ship and pretty much he got too close. And it literally zipped up, but it blasted him back. It literally blasted him back. He thought it was dead. And it was basically like around the grass, patch of grass. When they went back and checked it, it was up. It had grown really fast. So it's obviously some sort of like, super UV. I don't know what the hell it was. Like the patch of grown really fast. Now here's the thing. He thought he was dead. The UFO thing comes back, zaps him up. That's actually what happens. They take him on the ship and they fix him up. He was basically pretty much, he thinks he was dead. They healed him. But yeah, Travis, this mustache, he didn't take no for an answer. All right, this Mr. Mustache, that's him on Joe Rogan. So because of his mustache, he was in a fit of rage. He actually on the ship, he gets out, he starts trying to, oh man, if you ever get abducted, please don't try this. He starts just trying to knock him out. They have to send someone else with a fish bowl to kind of calm him down. It's kind of an amazing story, right? It was kind of crazy. Obviously, now he's a believer, but he just thought, what the hell is going on, man? Yes, please. If you ever get abducted, don't do that. First thing you got to do, ask them, please, can we take some photos? Also, what's Bitcoin's price going to be in about 4 years from now? I want to know. Let's continue.
In the control room, he's pushing buttons. They're like, no, bro, don't do that because you're going to crash our ship. And then he was approached by a man who looks just like a man, tall, blonde hair, blue eyes, stocky build, and then encountered other women and men who he said had sort of a familial connection, like they all kind of looked the same. So that would be an example of what we consider the hybrids. Ones with sort of the archetypal gray alien form, but also a human form.
Right.
And we can come back to that too, like that hybridization program is kind of an important aspect of all of this. But
I'm sorry, Michael, I just, there's so many things here. I don't want to get lost in them, but from a detail perspective, like how can we explain seeing in the same place human?
Okay, friends. So in this question, what he's about to ask is people get confused. They're like, hey, if these are us from the future, how come we can see like little midget alien and then slightly taller alien with bigger brain and then a human next to it? How does that work? And that's why they explain, well, look, you're dealing with something that's just smarter than you. It's more intelligent. It may have made you. You understand? Like it's highly intelligent. It looks like magic. Could be a hologram. Like that's why the say it's funny. Travis Walton with his mustache, friends, because he was like in a fit of rage. He's like, I want my burrito. He comes out here. That's a Homer Simpson reference. Where's my burrito? Right? Remember when it knocks him in the head. So to calm him down, they send like a human dude. Right? It's kind of fun. They know, hey, send the human-looking guy, just morph into a human so he looks like he can calm down. You understand? Like, you gotta imagine, like, just in society, they're like, wait, whoa. Can we go 15,000 steps back? Aliens are real? Because they're just watching the government. They understand what the hell's going on. And it's like, there's two schools of thought. One school of thought say the government knows everything that's going on. And the other school of thought is government doesn't know what's going on. There's compartments. Of course they know what's going on. But they also know that they don't know a lot. That's probably that. But I think we can just take some solace. It's kind of like comfort. It's all by design. There's no chaos here. They, us from the future, they're showing us what they want us to see now. They're like, oh, your brain's expanded a bit. Here's some fuzzy lights over New Jersey. Maybe next year or 5 or 10 or 15 years from now, something else happens. You see? It's like they're just guiding you over time. So you're not like super mind blown. Yeah, that's the only logical kind of explanation. I mean, unless you want to go the route that they're just half as... Like, you really want to go this nihilistic route, kind of makes no sense. Right? If anyone wanted us to blow us to smithereens, we'd be gone already. So it's fascinating, right? When you look at all of these and how these people are studying. But I almost guarantee we're going to learn like way more than what we know in the next 20 years. Way more. I've done anecdotal tests. We all know. We literally all know. All of us know. All of us. Yeah. I know everyone's like, shh, don't talk about I'm kooky. No, that's 30 years ago, man. Like, we know. Everyone knows now. Like 2/3 of people know. The other 1/3, they're like high half the time. They're not even paying attention. But they check this out. You make a couple of documentaries for them. They watch a couple of Somi videos. They're like, oh, it actually is happening. The thing is, they just don't give a shit. They want their burrito. They actually want to go to work. They want to see who's going to win the game next week. And they just want to go out with the boys. You know what I mean? That's actually most of humans. It's kind of like, yeah, I'm a monkey. I'm in a zoo. Can't do much. And they're kind of right. They're actually kind of right. What are you going to learn? How's your life going to change from this? Oh, thank you for this knowledge. Anyway, moving on with my life. That's funny. Where does it all lead? I guess it's advancing humanity. This simulation, whatever it is. It's all advancing us at like a snail's pace over time. Oh, man, it's going to be fun. I hope, man. I hope. Can you just not give us the fake alien invasion bear market? That's going to be a bit of a whipper. Oh, well. Don't forget it loves you. Like, subscribe. Catch you soon.